Lieutenant Colonel Mike Kjar and Major Brent Taylor from the Utah National Guard. Thank you so much for being part of 3 Questions.
Thanks for having us.
Lieutenant Colonel, would you tell us what is the mission of the Utah National Guard?
Our mission is to support, we support Governor Herbert in any responsibilities that he has domestically. We're at the service of our communities and him, what he needs. Whether it's fighting fires, wind cleanup, flood. We helped with the Hilldale floods a few years ago. Additionally, we helped with the hurricane, Hurricane Harvey down in Texas. We sent our aviation assets down there. And then obviously we have to support, President Trump, our Commander-in-Chief, in any national defense needs that requires our capabilities.
Now, it used to be, in days gone by, that the National Guard units and the reserve units didn't get called up all that often, but anymore, I mean, there are roles that the regular Army can't fill for whatever reasons, and you guys are getting called first.
We get, since 2001, we've had over 8,000 soldiers deployed in support of different operations throughout the world, called up on active duty. And the Utah National Guard has a robust linguist skill set. We have attack aviation, lift aviation, engineers, artillery, special forces. We have a lot of capabilities that our national defense requires. And with the operational tempo since 2001, we've deployed a lot of soldiers. I myself have deployed once. Brent has had multiple deployments.
Now, Major Brent Taylor, you are also the mayor of North Ogden. Where on earth do you get time to serve in the National Guard?
Of course, busy like everyone, but I make time for it. I didn't think I'd be in this long. I joined after 9/11, for 9/11, along with ultimately 5 of my brothers. But I have really come to love serving in the Guard. It's something you gain so much from: leadership experience, camaraderie, a sense of pride for putting on the uniform. I remember, crying the first time I put on the uniform with the flag when I first joined. So I was getting in for the war after 9/11 and that sense of patriotism, but I've stayed because there's so many awesome benefits, opportunities, growth, challenges that come in serving part-time in the Utah National Guard. So I make time for it because it makes me better. It's a great benefit in my life to be a part.
What are your specific duties? Lieutenant Colonel, first you, and then Major Taylor.
So I'm the Recruiting and Retention Battalion Commander, and what that means is I oversee all recruiting in Utah. I have over 40 field recruiters that are responsible for bringing our young men and women into service and vetting the process as well. It's no longer serve in the military to get out of juvenile detention. Yeah. So now it's very rigorous standards to get in the military. Less than 1% of the nation qualify for service in the military, any of the branches. And I'm responsible for that, the recruiting of our service members into the Utah National Guard.
If someone is watching this interview right now and wondering, well, I wonder if I have what it takes to be part of the Utah National Guard, before they go down to the recruiting office or get in contact with you and reach out, how can they determine whether they have what it takes to be successful?
Our best resource is nationalguard.com, that website, and they'll go through the qualifications required for service in any of the armed forces. They're very similar.
What are some of those qualifications?
So high academic standards. There's an ASVAB test, an entrance exam that they take to qualify for different military occupational specialties. That's MOS, our jobs. They have to score to a certain level, even to enter into the military service. Physical fitness tests, that's later on once they've entered, but initially, as long as they have a high school diploma, they can pass the ASVAB test. They're not a felon. No history of mental illness. There's a lot of, there's a full physical that they go through at our MEPS station, which is we have doctors on board that will ask them everything and anything that's ever happened. If they've had a scratch or broken bones, things like that, to make sure that we're bringing in quality soldiers to serve.
Major Taylor, what is your specific responsibility?
So Colonel Kjar is my commander, and I run an organization within recruiting that is the Recruit Sustainment Program. And my command takes all the new recruits, Utah's sons and daughters that are joining the Utah Army National Guard for their first 1 to approximately 2 years, depending on what kind of training they're going to, and we get them prepared, physically ready, mentally prepared to go to boot camp and go through the Army training programs, and then be able to return back to Utah and serve the missions, the state and federal missions that the Utah National Guard has at the request of the governor and the president.
How is the current crop of recruits?
Major Taylor sees them on every weekend that they drill, so he gets a great perspective of what our new recruits look like. But for me, the quality that we get from Utah, we are the best recruiting battalion in the nation because of the quality recruits that we get from our local population. And Major Taylor can talk about the graduates. We have some of the top distinguished honor graduates from basic training come out of Utah. Our culture, the quality of recruits that we get into the Utah National Guard, when they step in, they're at an elevated level, and we're very fortunate to be able to recruit here in a great state because we have a lot of quality recruits to choose from that are fit, mentally agile, smart, morally sound. It's great for us.
How do you find working with them?
Echo what Colonel Kjar said. I mean, we have outstanding young people that are joining the Utah National Guard. We send approximately 100 or more recruits every month off to training in different bases in the United States, and a full third of those of Utah National Guard recruits come back with either as a distinguished honor graduate or a honor graduate or even a high physical fitness test from the unit when they're mixed with active duty soldiers, reserve soldiers. Utah's soldiers are making us incredibly proud. They're doing an incredible job. 1 of 3 is coming back with some kind of honors graduation from the larger pool of everyone in the Army at training. So we're really fortunate to have great young people, young men and young women, to join the Utah National Guard.
So, General Lingell of the National Guard Bureau on the federal level, right? He sees these recruits coming out of Utah, and is he scratching his head going, where are these kids coming from? And who are these guys?
You know, I've never met with General Lingell. I know that General Burton, Major General Burton, meets with him, and the feedback that we get from the National Guard Bureau is that they ask, how are we doing it? And a lot of it is, again, the quality population that we recruit from. Also, our recruit sustainment program that prepares them to go into military service. Our young men and women show up at their initial entry training, basic training, well prepared physically, mentally, understanding their basic warrior tasks. And that's the feedback that we can give from our level. Is we've had visitors from other states come and want to model our program, and just to see what we're doing and how we're getting the numbers that we're getting.
Now, you're saying you're the #1 recruiting unit in the country, is that correct?
That's correct. For medium-sized states.
For medium-sized states? Well, congratulations. Either way, that is absolutely marvelous.
And our recruit sustainment program, which is part of recruiting, is the #1 in the nation for all size states. So we get the most recruits to basic training and graduate and back to serve in the Guard. We have the highest graduation rates and things that go into that measurement. So Utah National Guard really is a top quality organization. We're getting great soldiers in, and we have great leadership to make these young men and women into great soldiers.
You mentioned the high moral standing, the great academics, the physical fitness, and all-around greatness of these recruits. But there are a lot of kids in our population here in Utah that are like that. What are some of the commonalities of the recruits that you are seeing after those characteristics? What is it that draws them to the Guard?
Well, in my experience, I ran an ROTC program at Utah Valley University, and I worked with around 100 potential officers into the military, and what drew them to the Utah National Guard was, one, the variety of occupational specialties that we have. If they want to fly a helicopter, they can learn how to fly a helicopter. They can fly an Apache, and a lot of our young men and women would love to do that. We have a UAV, unmanned aerial vehicle, platoon in the state. We have special forces. We have artillery and engineers. We have linguists that really fit in well with a lot of our religious population that go and learn another language in service for their church. They come back with a skill set that the U.S. Army thrives from. Utah has the only military linguist brigade in the Army. And the active component relies heavily on our linguists to support operations throughout the world. And that's just the variety of what we have to offer, and the quality of people that you're allowed to work with will draw them to the Utah Guard. That's what drew me. Mm-hmm. I went to school in Utah. I joined the military in Wyoming and noticed I served with great soldiers in Wyoming, but noticed here in Utah I seem to assimilate more with the leaders and my fellow service members. I seem to fit in. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's coming off right or arrogant, but it was really good to serve with them, and I think that's the quality. Quality draws in more quality, and I think that's what we have going for us in the Utah National Guard.
Major Taylor, it must be tremendously satisfying to get to work with these young people, these high-quality young people, and kind of guide them to where their strengths might take them.
It is. I've had almost 1,000 recruits during my time as the commander of the Recruit Sustainment Program that have come in and gone on to graduate and go on to their units, and they're wonderful. They inspire me. I mean, they love our country. I wish the citizens of Utah could be at the drill weekend sometimes and just see these are young men and young women that make our state proud. They're doing great things. I was with them this past weekend. That's what I did. My Saturday and Sunday was drill duty, which we as guardsmen have once a month, a Saturday and a Sunday. And it's just a great group of young people, diverse backgrounds, but they've come together to serve our state and our country and are making the people of Utah very proud.
Tell us what a drill weekend is like. Walk us through what the profile of a drill weekend would be like for a typical recruit.
So we pack a lot in because we only have our recruits 2 days a month, and we've got to get them ready to go and succeed at basic training. So we do a lot of physical fitness. Both Saturday and Sunday is going to have several iterations of physical fitness to be getting our recruits ready. There's also going to be a lot of classroom time to teach our recruits some of the things they need to know at basic training, basic Army values, things that they need to incorporate and understand. Then also we spend a lot of time outside doing, of course, the physical fitness piece, but also tactical training. This past weekend, my recruits were out doing a paintball training course. We want to incorporate things that also is a little bit of fun in with the work so that they know that military service, it's actually enjoyable. This drill weekend, you get to come and do some really awesome things. You do some physical fitness, you learn some things, and then we're going to go out and do some paintball with some tactical training associated with it. So we pack all that into a drill weekend. The sergeants that we have in the Recruit Sustainment Program are fantastic, and we're getting them ready to go and succeed at basic training and make our state proud.
There is a tremendous amount of affection for the military in this country, especially in recent years. Anyone who is wearing a uniform is automatically elevated in the eyes of most of the people they see. How does that feel, being the focus and attention of that kind of affection?
It's humbling. My family and I have been the recipients of many generous Utahns here in our state. And it's humbling as you think of the Vietnam veterans and kind of the atmosphere during their time. And we stand on the shoulders of those that served before us, and all veterans that have, with their support, I really feel that it's the veterans and the gratitude of a nation, a grateful nation for our service. And I'm thankful that it's a volunteer army currently, and we, you know, Bob, it's humbling to know that, and it makes you work harder every day, just so we don't let the people that support us blindly, not blindly, but just because we're wearing the uniform, they assume that we have the Army values of duty and respect and loyalty and selfless service, that we get a lot of respect just based on what others have done before us, and we need to maintain that moving forward.
Major Taylor.
It's like when your mom or grandma kisses you at the door and tells you to behave when you leave. That's kind of what it makes me feel like, that we owe these citizens who show us their respect and their gratitude and appreciation every time I'm in uniform. Almost someone will say something or shake your hand, and we owe back to those citizens that our Army is acting in the best possible way, following all laws, the Constitution, and honoring the love and respect and gratitude they're giving to us. So I think, you know, that's something we talk about a lot, making sure that as an organization, and the Utah National Guard has done a great job with this, that we take that trust and respect that's given and are holding it sacred and performing as the citizens of Utah would expect us to.
Veterans Day is a special day for members of the military and their families. As you reflect on the shoulders that you are standing on, how does that make you feel inside, knowing the history of not just the National Guard, but all of the military of the United States?
I was reflecting on it on my way into work this morning. Every day I get to put on the uniform and I look at our flag and my name. I notice my name on the uniform, and my father served, my grandfather served, one in World War II, one in Korea. And I think of their service and also the service of all veterans. And it's a great sense of pride and respect and sombering as we think of some of our brothers and sisters who have given the ultimate sacrifice. And you can't help but think of them, their families, the communities that have an empty place for their ultimate sacrifice, and hope that you can represent the uniform and the flag that they gave their lives for in a manner that would not bring any remorse or any disappointment for what they have gone and done before us, but gratitude.
Major Taylor.
I would just add that it's a lot about remembering our other soldiers and fellow service members in arms. I mentioned I have 5 brothers. We all joined the Army after 9/11, and that's my favorite family picture. We have one picture with all 6 of us in uniform, and that's with, hands down, my favorite family picture, because those are my brothers, but also my brothers in arms. The other thing I'd say is that as we reflect on all the sacrifices that have been made in these wars, but also all the wars that have gone before, that we still have a great group of American soldiers in the National Guard, in the Reserves, and in the Active Army, and in the other branches that are ready to defend this country against any adversary that is out there, and that are training, that are working hard, that are preparing themselves at all times to be ready for any need. So reflecting on those veterans that have especially given their lives, but then also on the veterans who are still out there right now, ready to serve our country at a moment's notice.
How difficult is military service on your families?
Should have had my wife come in and interview. I was gone for 18 months. I had 2 children at the time. I had an 18-month-old and a 3-year-old. And it's difficult and challenging, but it's also created a sense of service for them as well. Initially, Lori was a little hesitant about me being in the military. When we dated, that was almost a deal breaker.
Dodged a bullet on that one, didn't you?
She just, because she knows it takes a lot of time, and was worried about that. Not that she has any lack of patriotism, and as a matter of fact has served, they serve more than we do, in my opinion and my assessment. Not only our immediate family, but the extended family and friends that help out when things go wrong when we're gone. Without fail, the toilet will leak, the water heater will go out, and it's family and friends of the community. And just the outpouring of that, not only the immediate family, but everyone around us that supports us while we're gone. I have a lot of stories that I could share with the graciousness of family, and it's hard, but at the end, if you were to ask my family, they're grateful to serve with me, in a sense. They get a sense of that.
Major Taylor?
My wife is my hero. She's gone through 3 deployments in the time that I've been there, and certainly it's hard for me. It's hard to be away. It's often a dangerous assignment and things, but she's at home with no spouse, with those children that whole time, balancing everything, and I have a lot of young children. So the spouses and the children absolutely are serving right alongside with their soldier, and we couldn't do without them.
For those who have gone into combat, there is a special bond that is created in those situations. And even though we in civilian life mean to honor those who have taken upon themselves this duty to defend our country and go in harm's way, there really is no way for us who have not experienced that kind of thing to ever really know what that is like and what you go through individually and collectively. Explain a little bit to us. Help us understand.
With my deployment, we spent a year. I was with a platoon of about 30 soldiers our whole battalion went, but you work closely. In my position, I was a platoon leader, and they become your family, and you know that you eat with them, you sleep with them, you spend sometimes too much time with each other, and you go through a lot of trials together, and you learn to trust each other, and these friendships are forged for life. And it hurts when we lose some of the members that we serve with, because they're so close and they seem so close, like family. The camaraderie, it's hard to compare. I've done sports teams, and it's a deeper bond than that. It's very close to like your immediate family. You become that way, and you rely on them heavily to make sure, one, for your safety, and they rely on you, and you don't want to let them down. And it's a bond that will last until we die at the end. And that's maybe Brent can explain it a little better than Major Taylor can, but it's hard to explain.
It's like one of those friendships that your battle buddies that you went to war with, you see them again years later. There's no awkwardness or rebuilding time of the friendship. You slide right back into that friendship. It's the kind of friend that you see again. Doesn't matter how much time has passed. there's a bond that's unbreakable, and you're instantly close friends again when you run into each other because of the things you went through and did, and the closeness. And living in a tent with 1 or 2 dozen other grown men for a year, you don't have that much privacy. You do everything together.
Yeah. Do civilians get it? Do we civilians get what it is you really do?
I didn't understand it before, and so not fully. I think civilians, they understand and they have an idea based on the amount of support and love that they give us. So I think they understand what it's like to be separated. You know, the civilians that do get it are our police officers, our firefighters, our emergency responders. They understand because they deal with it on a daily basis. Their service requires a lot of, they work together as a close-knit team. And I feel our first responders would have an idea. But, you know, short of going and experiencing it, it's really hard to speculate what it would be like. And I can't think of another example short of our emergency, our police force, our firefighters, our paramedics.
People who go running toward danger as opposed
yeah.
to running away from it.
Yeah.
I think also I didn't fully understand what military service was about till spring of 2007, right after I'd graduated and I had 2 babies. And the kissing goodbye, the early morning when I left the last time before I went to the Iraq War for what ended up being almost 2 years was, that's when I really got it, you know, how hard it is, because that's a lot to do, to take those little babies and know you're going to miss a lot of things that are going to come up in their life, and, you know, leave your wife to handle it all for that period of time. So it's our soldiers and our brothers and sisters in the Navy and the Marine Corps and the Air Force, they're doing incredible things for this country, and I love them all.
So what is your future in military service? I know some folks come in and they have a certain objective and they reach that objective and then they leave. What are your goals, Lieutenant Colonel?
I would, my goals are to do the best I can with the current position that I've been entrusted with. And that currently is with recruiting, to make sure that I take care of the service members with whom I have a stewardship over, my recruiters, the staff, and the children of our communities in Utah. That's what I need to focus on now. The Army has always taken care of me. If I do my job well, and you're not in it for yourself, but you're trying to help others succeed, that the Army will take care of you. And I'm grateful to serve, and I hope to serve for another 10 years. That's my goal, is to be able to serve in the Utah National Guard, that I can be useful to them for another 10 years and provide some service that way.
All right. Major Taylor?
I joined after 9/11 because of just how I felt about what had happened, and just the patriotism, the fury at those who had attacked us. Didn't never think I'd stay in this long. It's been almost 14 years that I've been in now, and I've just stayed because I love it. The wars are still going on, that's part of it, but the opportunities you get in the National Guard, again, for leadership experiences, education. I'm doing a PhD right now. It's the 3rd degree the military has helped pay for me. I mean, there's so many great benefits beyond just the love of country and things. So I'm planning on staying now for a full career, and it's not what I thought when I joined, but it's been just such a wonderful, rewarding experience, and a great experience even for my family, that I'm in for a whole career now.
All right. Well, Lieutenant Colonel Mike Kjar and Major Brent Taylor, the Utah National Guard.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you so much
Thank you
for being part of 3 Questions.